Welcome back to the Wanted Podcast. Today we're going to be discussing 1099 and what we can expect to see in chapter 1100 as we don't have a break next week. So, at a time, if anything,
Yes.
spoilers are going to be out in a few days. So, no. Uh, so, briefly, we know that this chapter, we see how Bonnie gets her devil fruit. Well, not how, but we know that she gets it. Where Kuma goes to meet Vegapunk and they cure Bonnie. We knew that was going to happen. Obvious that since she's 12 years old, she obviously went past her the 10-year-old age expected of death. So we know she was fine. We knew Vegapunk was going to cure her, and we see Vegapunk is going to make the clones of Kuma, the pacifista. How we get to that point, pretty much it, right? And also, we saw how Kuma got his tyrant title. It was onto him by the world government as King Bakori, falsely told them that he overthrew him. So let's discuss what 1100 is going to look like. Because based off of this chapter, I think we could just go right back into the Straw Hats. Like, I don't think need to keep it going. Like, I don't think it has to be another flashback chapter. It could just go straight back to the Straw Hats.
Um,
I don't know. It could go any other way. What do you think?
I'm thinking we're still in the flashback, and the reason why is because we can't end where the chapter ended off unless it's like because we're just now getting into the juicy parts of Kuma's backstory, where he's giving his body away, and I think Oda would probably dedicate a whole chapter just to that, and at the end of this chapter, we'll come back. And if that is the case, I think that we would still not have a break till next week. Just
Yeah, if
because, I
anything,
mean, it's nothing to end off pretty well. Now, I know there's a lot of hype with chapter 100,000, right? Not 100,000. 1010 basically. And I think we should sort of lower our expectations because there really hasn't been anything hinted at, anything big happening that chapter in
yeah,
the
no.
manga at
I think what
least.
it really is we know that there is the whatever happens on Egghead Island that shocks the world.
Hmm.
However, I still don't think it's going to be Dragon. Dragon's not showing up to Egghead Island. He doesn't really have a reason to, other than, of course, Gorosei being there. But he wouldn't
Hmm.
go for just one. I feel like he's going to go for all of them at once if he is going to go. So we're going to save that for the raid on Marijois. In terms of what
Yes.
would happen, I think we would just see more of Luffy just waking up because we know he's still kind of knocked out at this point. We would probably get more interactions with Saturn and Bonnie. If you really wanted to go the route which some people have, and you wanted to say that, so the celestial dragon that Ginny was Saturn, with the whole fires being connected to the planet Saturn and stuff like that. Which, I mean, his name could just be Saturn. Maybe it's not that deep, but I wanted to go that route and say that he is the biological father of Bonnie. Something there,
Uh,
but
but he's
the
not a
only
celestial
thing,
dragon.
I
He's
mean,
a Gorosei.
he's up there. True. Right, but like to cover it, like they're not just gonna say it. Gorosei took her, right? You could say that, oh, a celestial dragon took her. You know what I mean?
The thing
Just be
about
one,
that
but he's
is,
he's a higher one. So I mean, but you never know. So
the thing about it is, Oda would have said specifically a Gorosei wanted her for the plot. That is a big. That's kind of a big detail to leave out specifically, because those are the people at the highest point of the world,
yeah, man. I
and
mean, but
then
it could go either way. I mean, even if you wanted to, maybe Saturn specifically picked out Ginny too, because he might have known that Ginny was one of the slaves to escape. And then that not me saying that he picked her out to take her, but maybe like when they defeated that revolutionary army that she was leading, was the one to mention maybe we should grab her and take her, you know. Um and then they pawned it off to one of the celestial dragons to take something just fucked up like that. And because we know Kuma, like, Kuma's backstory, Saturn is just the reoccurring villain. Like, like, he's everywhere that Kuma's been. It could be something as evil as that. Like, he's gonna constantly torment this kid, but I do think it's interesting at the end of this chapter when he mentioned that he had a plan, like something to do with Kuma, and want Vegapunk to pass up the opportunity. I'm kind of thinking that this is just him gonna spitball, but this is him just saying that he's gonna tell to take his memories away, right? And we know that Vegapunk ends up storing them somewhere else, but maybe originally all the clones were still gonna, be like Kuma, and the issue there is they're not gonna just blindly follow the world government orders. Now that's a bit of a stretch to say that they would, just have the memories regardless. But you know, I do think it's interesting that I think he did. Saturn used the words like slip, let this opportunity slip. The Vegapunk would have just made the clones. They would have been clones of Kuma, and they might have been somewhat mindless, still with like latent memories. And when they really needed them to do something like potentially out an island, they wouldn't because it's Kuma. Kuma agrees to become, the patient zero, the test subject for these clones because they're going to. Well, one, he's doing it for Bonnie. We know that regardless, but made sure that they would be used for good. I mean, even if he said regardless, he just still asked, what they'd be used for, and then Vegapunk's like, oh, it's just gonna be used to take down evil pirates. Make sure they don't hurt anybody. Used for peace. Mentions the pacifist stuff. So that I do think that Saturn stuff is something. There's something there. If that's what's gonna be in the next chapter, I could see that something
I
crazy,
think
and that makes 1100 the big chapter. But we'll
I
see.
think this is going to be a big chapter, but we're still going to be into the flashback. And I think what it is that we're probably going to see a visual representation of Nika because we're probably going to hear a bit more about the Buccaneers and how they're associated with Nika. And then Saturn is probably going to be talking to it, and he's going to have a mind flashback of Nika.
Yeah, so I'm actually working on a video on this subject. So I do think when it comes to Nika and the Buccaneers, there is a very big correlation there. That is likely their religion, either Nika or Joy Boy, whichever, is kind of interchangeable, but was most likely a Buccaneer. Joy Boy was probably a Buccaneer. We know they committed some kind of crime, and if anything, man, like I wonder if Saturn is gonna have something to do with like having the pacifista hunt down the remaining Buccaneers. Like
Mm.
maybe that's one of their purposes. Passing up, like maybe Kuma did not know this, but maybe Kuma knows that there might still be some remaining Buccaneer out there. Because I mean, he's old. I mean, we didn't see all of his life. Who's to say there wasn't a point in time where he traveled and actually found years? Because it's saying that Kuma's the surviving and he's the final one is just there's just no way. One Piece is it's a very big world. I bet he's the last known one, but there are definitely Buccaneers still out there. So I just wonder if potentially he knows where some are. Saturn is kind of wondering that himself. Maybe Kuma knows. Let me ask Vegapunk to get these memories for me. Find the remaining Buccaneers, right? And that could be something Saturn's doing. Maybe that's the opportunity that he's not letting Vegapunk slip up to find more Buccaneers. I'm sure he's not telling Vegapunk, well, let's find them and let's kill them, right? Even though Vegapunk's probably aware that they're enemies to. Well, he is aware. He's aware that they're enemies to the world government, but that could definitely be something there. Because I mean I don't believe Puma's the last Buccaneer. I think there's some out there still. Just logically speaking, right? A Buccaneer is what, like it's a half giant, someone with giant's blood.
Yeah,
Who's to say
it's
that
someone
still
with
isn't
giant
around?
blood.
So you know what's interesting? Because we can assume Big Mom is a Buccaneer. Because weren't her parents just normal
Mm,
people? And the Buccaneer blood, like that gene can skip generations and genes of a child born
I
50
can see
years
her
later
having
than anyone else.
Buccaneer genes, maybe a tiny bit of Buccaneer blood, but I think she just has normal Giants blood mixed with her. Buccaneers is a specific race that she doesn't have in her arsenal. It's one of the races that she doesn't have, along with the Lunarians. So it wouldn't be fitting for her to be a Buccaneer also when we've seen that they have a specific look and skin tone
True.
she doesn't have. I think,
I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, I mean, honestly, looking at it, even her adult form, assuming that the females look like the males do, really have that kind of blocky, bulky, stature. She's kind of more just a regular giant.
yeah, I mean, because
Now
in
that
her
I really
prime,
think
she
about it.
she doesn't look like she only looks like that because she let gluttony take over her. Probably because she fell into a big depression or whatever after the Rocks Pirates disbanded.
I do think there's something with Buccaneer survivors to delve into. But going back to the Nika connections, we know that the cross, whatever religion Kuma worships, is that of our Joy Boy. We can look at the cross in his church, where it has a sun in the middle, praying in the sunlight. So Buccaneers most likely worship that. It's not just Kuma. It's not just his dad who knew about it. It was passed down to families with this Buccaneer blood. Believe in Nika. They believe that he's going to be the one to liberate everyone. Something that will come true. We know Luffy will do that by the end of the series. If you want to say Kuma shows up to Egghead to save Luffy, maybe. I don't think that's something that has to happen. Off doing his own thing. If anything, Kuma might be, his mindless self taken out of the story very soon. He's already face to face with Akainu and he got away. He's like badly damaged. I think he might release all of the pain and all the damage he's taken in one of his little bubbles and a good chunk of marriage or something like that. But he could show up to Egghead. Maybe he takes out Saturn. A last, hurrah, final hurrah. He comes in and he takes out Saturn, the villain who's pretty much been behind all of his pain for the most
I
part.
think,
That could be something. Maybe that's the big thing is Kuma appears and he releases all the damage he's taken in one of his, pop bubbles and it just destroys Saturn. Maybe that's the big thing that happens that shocks the world.
I don't think this chapter is going to reveal what shocks the world because that would mean that we'd have to leave Egghead.
Oh yeah,
And
no,
leave
I
Ving.
don't think that. I'm not saying that that's guaranteed what's going to happen in the next chapter, but that's something that could happen post this chapter based off of
The
just
thing
making
is,
prediction because we
the
probably
thing
will
about
still
it
be in the
is,
flashback.
even that isn't something that shocks the world. Something that shocks the world is Whitebeard saying the One Piece is real. That is something that shocks the entire world. Ace's death, that's something that wasn't even on the scale of Whitebeard saying the One Piece is real. It was broadcasted. Yeah, everybody was like, "Oh man," but Whitebeard saying
You know,
that was crazy.
we could say like what we kind of talked about with potentially the Revolutionary Army getting back in contact with Vegapunk and Sabo releasing the news of everything going on in Marijois to the whole world. Vegapunk's
That,
I believe
but
what he
it,
said he wanted a system of internet like it's like he wanted like an internet kind of thing to spread information. I think that's something he said. I don't know. Maybe that's remembering that right, but something like
yes,
that being broadcast around that would shock the world. Hey, by the way, there are these like demon creatures that are ruling the world and the throne that's supposed to be empty. That would shock the world. But even then, you could say that's a late game One Piece, and that we're not even close to that. That's what I would say would shock the world, but it's really just up in the air, man. It could be anything. It might even be like we might be overestimating it. It could be something smaller. To us, it could be something smaller, but that's just something we have to wait and see.
Oh man, yeah, like something like that. One, it has to be broadcasted through the Vegapunk network, whatever he was working on. I think that might be it too. The reveal of Eam, that there is a king of the world, but it has to be something that is also also believable in a sense as well, you know? Because the Sabo can just come out and say, "Hey, there's a
That's
king of the
true.
world."
He only just saw it. That's true.
There has to be concrete proof. And that's what and listen here, what could be broadcasted probably can potentially be either Sabo's memories, or maybe they can broadcast Bonnie's memories that she's looking at right now. And people can
See,
actually
the thing
see what
about that
happened on
is
God
that
Valley.
the memories, Kuma's memories, is because he was able to hold it in his power with his fruit. They had Kuma and Sabo there, where Kuma could knowingly extract those memories. I mean unless Vegapunk has a way to do it, replicated that power, and he could do it. I could believe that. I could see that showing his memories, and then they see, like they would see it. And maybe we get like at least the forms revealed of the Gorosei, maybe, and then maybe it's like the bottom half of the face of Eam, like that shown, or just showing the throne room with like an entity sitting on the throne and then all these demons surrounding it. Like
Yeah,
if that's
that
the
right
route it's
there
going,
can
but
be
then
broadcasted.
Sabo has to get there, and he easily could. Um, because like he could just pull up. I mean, it's not like it's super difficult to get there right now. He could show up in the fray because you got the Marines are fighting all of the makeshift sea beasts that are guarding it, and then uh, they've got the battle between Kizaru, Saturn, Luffy, just the Straw Hats. We know Blackbeard's ship is there. I don't know what's up with that.
Hmm.
That could be something. That could be what shocks the world. Something that happens like that. Um, but other than that, I mean, it's still up in the air how this is gonna go. I do think that it will be a pretty big. I mean, it has to be a pretty big reveal. So, 'cause, like, yeah, if we really want to say it's got to be something that can only happen on Egghead, and it has to shock the entire world. And of course, you could say that that's just a headline that just exaggerates, but always take it like at face value in One Piece. Literally mean the whole world. It could just be a headline to catch your attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean overall, don't think Dragon's showing up. I'm not counting on it. I don't think he's gonna up just because it's 1100. That's stupid. Doesn't make any sense. I saw him, you know, actually making moves not too long ago, but I think our dragon footage, our dragon screen time is this flashback. That's it. So
Yeah.
we're just gonna have to wait for when he actually starts doing stuff and just talking about doing stuff. We'll wait for that. Um, we already know his fruit's the wind. I don't think there's any discussion that needs to be talked about that. It's gonna be the wind fruit, the wind logia. It's gonna be something like that. So, but overall, I think that's all I can say based off of this chapter. This chapter isn't anything insane, but it is a good chapter.
It's a pretty good chapter, and I think next chapter will go just like this, man. We finally see it'll be half Kuma, half like the chapter the flashback will end mid chapter, and then we'll see something happen with Bonnie or whatever. But I think the ancient robot is gonna come in and start fighting, right? And that wouldn't be the only thing that Luffy has activated with his presence. It'll be a whole bunch of other ancient stuff that Vegapunk has. And I think Kuma is going to come in and heal Luffy. And then he's going to turn back into Gear 5. And Kuma's going to finally see Nika in person for the first time. And then it'll end with Luffy about to fight Saturn. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, we still like whole Iron Giant stuff like that is still something. I don't think that's gonna be the biggest thing that shocks the world. It might be. It's pretty insane. Like, oh, here's a robot from 500 years ago that just woke up. It just came out. If you want to say maybe it comes out and kills Saturn, which I don't think so, but um, yeah, there's stuff like that. Very big. I do think whatever happens, it'll relate to Nika and the Buccaneers. I think that is the buildup that we're getting in the background with this, backstory and just the knowledge of the Buccaneers now. I think that's the buildup.
Yeah.
Buccaneers are going to play a much larger role in the story because, like, Kuma he's at death's bed. He is almost done, and if he really is the last Buccaneer, that's kind of a waste to just introduce this race and then say, "Yeah, he's the last one. Now he's dead." It's gonna come up again, especially when we go to Elbath. Especially when we dive into Nika and his backstory, or Joy Boy and his backstory, right? It's gonna come up again. Potentially, the Ancient Kingdom was the kingdom of the Buccaneers. We don't know for sure, but something like that. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that can happen. If the flashback ends next chapter, it is either mid chapter or the final panel will be returning to the Straw Hats, when Luffy wake up. I think it'll be something like that if it ends next chapter. Will we get a break? Maybe, maybe not. I could see us not having one, but at the same time, we could just get one just because we've got quite a few in a row. Usually, when we get like three or like two or three in a row, we can expect a break. I don't think I see Oda stopping anytime soon. If we were to just keep getting chapters, I wouldn't be surprised. That's about all I
I
can
wouldn't
say
be
for that.
surprised either. Yeah, I think that's a good chapter spoiler review, and we can next 2 days we can come back and look at what we like look at if we missed anything or whatever. Compare
Yeah.
and contrast. But that's it.
So,
That's all for me.
yeah, this has been the Wanted Podcast. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.